Isomers are structures which have the same molecular formula, but have a different structural formula. So, for example, if we were to draw the structure for C2H6O, there are actually at least two different ways to draw this structure. One way is to put the two carbons bonded to each other. So there's my two carbons bonded to each other. And then to put a hydrogen at each of the four positions around the first carbon. And then to put hydrogens at two of the hydrogens on the other carbon. And then to place an oxygen with a hydrogen off the second carbon. So you have two carbons bonded together, three hydrogens on the first, two hydrogens on the second carbon, and then an OH. A second way of drawing this is to put oxygen in the center and to bond carbons off of each one of the oxygens, and then you have your three other valence on each carbon, so you have places for those 6 hydrogen. Now these two structures that I'm drawing have different names. They have different properties. This first structure is relatively polar, which means it mixes pretty well with water. The second structure isn't quite as polar, and it will actually not interact with water. The first structure is called ethanol, and the second structure is called dimethyl ether. The first structure is a liquid at room temperature. The second structure is actually a gas at room temperature. So these molecules not only look different, but they also have different properties. Second example of isomers. If I were to give you the formula C3H7 and then Cl. Okay, so 3 carbons. Typically carbons will bond together when they're in a structure. So we're going to draw 2 different isomers of this formula, and in each of them the 3 carbons are going to be bonded together. In the first structure, we're going to place hydrogens on the first carbon, the second carbon. So there's 5 of our hydrogens, 6 hydrogen, 7 hydrogen, and then we're going to place the Cl with its 7 valence electrons on the end carbon. Now in the second structure, we're going to place hydrogen on the 3 hydrogens on the first. We'll place the Cl actually on the middle carbon, a hydrogen on the middle carbon, and then the remaining 6 hydrogens on the end carbon. Now these two structures, the first structure has the Cl on the end carbon, the second structure has the Cl on the middle carbon. These two structures are isomers. To go from one to the other, you would physically have to remove that Cl and move it to a different carbon. So isomers, again, same molecular formula, different structural formula.